everyone, this is Sarah of the York County Library. Welcome. Today we are going to be doing a watercolor flower painting. I'm also going to be showing you how to do this with a brush tipped marker as well. So here is what I'm going to be making in the video today. Here is the watercolor version, and here is the marker version. If you'd like to join me in this video today, for watercolor painting, you are going to need a couple of supplies. You need a set of watercolor paints. I got this one from Michael's. There's a wide variety of colors, but if you don't have this many colors, you can always mix the different colors to create several different ones. And then if you want to mix, I do recommend having a palette or some kind of smooth surface where you can mix them. I'm just going to be using the raised little wells here in the top of the plastic cover to my set. I'm going to be using a round paintbrush. It's kind of small, but it has this little tip on the end. And the reason why I'm using this is because it will create the petals for the flowers that I'm using. Of course, with watercolor, you need a little bit of water. I'm also going to have a paper towel nearby. You could use a regular towel if you have one around. That's used to dry the brush. And then I also have watercolor paper, both for the final project and also for some practice strokes. So you'll see me do these in the video. To do the stems for our flowers, I have used a black micron pen, but you can use any black pen. So look around, see if you've got one. And then before I did the painting, I also planned it out with some pencils. So you may want to pencil around. To fill in the color of the tiny leaves, I use some of my Tombow markers. You can use any marker that you'd like. And that's all for the watercolor version of this. For the marker version of this, all you're going to need are markers, of course, pencils if you want to plan out where you're going to put your flowers, and then of course some pens to draw the stems, or you may use the markers to draw the stems as well. So that's all we need, and I'm excited to show you how I made these. So let's get into the video. Okay, so I have my watercolor paper. I'm going to wet my brush and pull some very deep rose pink out and do some practice. So I always recommend that when you're doing a new medium or trying something different, to always have a practice sheet around. That way you can play with the colors. So here I'm doing a thin mark with the tip of the brush, and I have slowed down the footage so I could show you how I'm doing the petal. So I am putting a little bit of pressure with the tip of the brush. I pull down and then apply more pressure so that the end of the brush fans out. So I'm just doing a couple of those marks, and now I am changing the direction at the end of the stroke so I can create the curved petals for the flowers. I'm cleaning my brush now so that I can grab another color. I'm going to grab an orange color and mix it with the red or the pink. I'm just doing some practice marks, trying to get the different kind of flowers I want to create on the page down. I've cleaned the brush and switched to a blue-green color, and now I'm just making larger marks, trying to test my control of the paintbrush and see what I can make. Now I am just putting the whole tip of the paintbrush down and it makes a short little mark that looks like a petal. So make sure you have a practice sheet around before you get into your final piece. So I'm just using my pencil to make some very light circles on my paper to tell me where I want to place the petals and tops of my flowers. Now I'm going to get into filling in those little circles that I made. I lightened them up with an eraser. So I'm just using that mark, that petal mark that I practiced to create different flowers on the page. I'm not really using any actual flowers for reference. I'm just using what I know about flowers or what I see when I think about a flower to create the shapes. Making each one just a little different, both with color and the way that the petals are formed. What I like about this exercise is that I'm just creating the flowers. I'm not worrying about a background or putting in a vase or place for the flowers to be. They're just hanging out together. So in between changing each color, I'm just making sure to dip my brush in water to clean it off. And then I dab it onto the paper towel to make sure I don't have a lot of water. With watercolor, if you want to lighten the color of it up, you can always add more water. But I really wanted the colors to pop, so I made sure to just dab off excess water. That's another thing you could use your practice materials for, is just seeing how the color changes as you mix it and put more water into it. So I'm going to use my brush tip markers and practice the same kind of stroke, applying a little bit of pressure with the tip and then applying more pressure as I go downwards. And I'm going to create some flowers with my brush tip markers. I didn't mark with pencil where I wanted the flowers to be on this piece. I'm just going to mimic what I did in the watercolor piece. I didn't practice as much with the markers, but I always made sure I had my practice sheet handy in case I did want to practice. I started out making the purple flowers a little smaller and then decided as I went down to make the petals longer and thinner. So now I'm just adding a little pop of color by using different color markers to create petals. So now that I have my two pieces done, I'm going to use a pen to put in the stems for my flowers. And I'm also creating small little leaves. With the watercolor, you do have to wait until it dries a little bit. But since you're not using a lot of water, it doesn't take long for it to dry. So I did the same with the markers, and now I'm just taking some green markers and filling in the little leaves. I'm using different color shades of green for the different kinds of flowers in each piece. Then when I am done filling those in, my pieces will be complete. You could also put a word at the top if you wanted to, but I'm just going to leave them as is. And here they are with the one I made earlier today. So there we go, friends. That's our video for today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I really find watercolor painting and drawing to be a mindful activity where I can just think about what's in front of me and really relax. So I hope you found something like that in our activity today as well. Here I have my pieces behind me. I'm gathering quite a collection of art pieces as I do these videos, and I hope you are too. So friends, until next time, when I'll be putting out another craft video next week, remember to stay cool, stay safe, and as always, stay creative, York County.